So hello guys, today I'm here to talk about the topic Introduction to Psychology. So psychology is a science of behavior and mental process. It is derived from two words, Greek, psychic, which means soul, and logos means discourse, which means speech or address. The literal meaning is soul and study. It is the study of soul. It is viewed as science of behavior and cognitive process. So psychology is divided into two parts, behavioral science and psychology as empirical science. So guys, over here I have written psychology in short form as PSY. So under behavioral science and psychology we have philosophical stage, structural stage, behavioral stage, modern stage, and under empirical science we have psychology as science, psychology studies behavior, and psychology studies mental process. So behavioral science and psychology, it encompasses a discipline that explores the activities and interaction among the organism. It involves systematic analysis of human and animal behavior through controlled experimental observation. So it includes psychology, cognitive science, anthropology, organizational theory. So it is under two categories, neutral as taking decision and social as communication. So there are some misconception of psychology, that it is based on analysis of facial expression, they can predict future, they are the mind readers, and even psychologists are said that they can predict the future. So we have here philosophical stage. It is the stage where we study about the soul and mind. Psychology is science of mind, which means soul. Like soul, word mind is vague and confusing. So soul is mystical, which cannot be touched or seen. Mind includes only the subjective aspect of behavior. So next we have got our structural stage, where there is psychology of science of consciousness. So here William Wundt, he was the founder of first psychological laboratory. E.B. Trichner, he was the founder of structural of social of psychology. It is focused on inner sensation, feelings, thought of human. They advocated psychology as consciousness. So consciousness is present experience and awareness. Sigmund Freud, he founded that human personality has conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. So unconscious consists of 9/10 of mind determining normal activities. Next we have got behavioral stage. It is the science of behavior, where John B. Watson defined psychology is science of behavior. It studies internal behavior like feeling, perceiving, learning, imagining through external behavior. He did not agree with the role of heredity and innate disposition in growth and development. Next we have SR and SOR. It is under the behavioral psychology. So this paradigm believes that organisms respond according to nature of stimulus, and meanwhile the SOR, this approach believes that nature of stimulus and nature of organism play an important role in particular response of organism. Under stimulus and response, Watson Pavlov advocated this concept. Organism is passive in this case, criticized for undermining the role of organism in responding to stimulus. It does not include mental process. Meanwhile, in SOR, stimulus organism response, Wordsworth advocated this concept. Organism play an active role in it. It included the role of organism in responding. It included the mental process. Next we have got overt and covert behavior. So under overt behavior which are directly observable like talking, running, blinking or scratching. They have observable properties like form, intensity, duration, frequency. It is perceived by our unaided public senses, measured and classified. Under the covert behavior, it refers to the responses that cannot be directly absorbed, like feeling or any glandular reactions. They go inside the skin, including the private events as thinking and imagining. It is detected by interference or through use of special technique and devices such as heartbeat. Next we have got modern stage where it is the science of behavior and mental process. So measures DZ defined as science of behavior and mental process, scientific study of behavior and mental process. Psychology describes, predict and explain the human behavior. Scientific method enables to find, honor and more vivid than speculation. Next, we have got psychology as empirical science. So, psychology as science, it is a systematic study of human behavior. There is use of scientific methods like experimental and observation method. It studies cause and effect relation. Prediction is made on human behavior that which is dynamic and complex. Psychology as behavior, it refers to physical activity of organism. Overt body movement and covert internal glandular process are included in it. It studies behavior in all the circumstances like individual, social, group, normal, abnormal behavior. And psychology studies as mental process, where psychology is a study of mental process of an organism. It refers to private thoughts, emotions, feelings and motives. It studies mental activities which may be voluntary, involuntary, conscious or unconscious. Mental activity includes mental behavior and experience. Modern psychology studies processes and experience. Next we have goals of psychology. So first goal is describe. Psychology collects the information through scientific method, information collected through human behavior, and it enables to describe the human behavior accurately. Next thing is understand. We understand human behavior and mental process. Explanation of psychology is based on theories. Psychology develops theories and principles of behavior. Our knowledge and understanding of stress in working environment is enhanced by theories. Next is prediction. Psychology predicts future and tells in advance about what would happen in future regarding human. Over here, they are depending on the facts or the principles of behavior and various influencing behavior. It helps to predict the behavior. Next is influence and control. Psychology aims at influencing behavior, make a desired behavior to occur or not. What can be done to bring up an aggressive child or improve learning? Factors affecting outcome of behavior enables to exercise the control. So next we have got a perspective in psychology. So over here behavioral perspective based on proposition that organism do activities like acting, thinking, feeling. It is related to observable things studied by industrial psychology, organizational psychology who are interested in work setting. It is focused on deal of attention on overt behavior. Next, we have got cognitive perspective. It is focused on memory, thoughts, reasoning for human behavior. For example, to write a cover letter, we don't select theme. We focused in positive experience to write a supportive letter as well we recall crucial information to carry out our activities. Next is it need to pay attention on cognitive process to understand behavior. Next we have got a psychodynamic perspective. So over here it is focused on hidden unconscious internal process of studying human behavior. Sigmund Freud developed this on theory. It is believed that behavior is influenced by vast area of unconsciousness. Unconscious thought are threat, sexual and aggressive in nature. It is revealed by dreams, emotions, sleep. Next we have got biological perspective. It is concerned with changes inside the body which is covert and overt behavior, thinking, listening, music, hunger, anger, experience, sexual arousal, etc. are examples of it. The activities in our brain, nervous system, hormones are released by glands and induced process. It helps in study of principle of biology, physiology, genetic development, etc. Next we have got evolutionary perspective. Over here modern psychology rejects extreme view and adopts balanced position. Humans have evolutionary history which equips with inherited tendency. It leads to emergence of evolution. It is focused of psychology mechanism for human behavior. Next we have got socio-cultural perspective. Over here culture is important for human behavior. Individual perception, feeling, action are highly influenced by social or cultural behavior. For example, Japanese executive and wife wanted house. They got the best house but they did not purchase because their boss was few blocks away from them. Next we have got development perspective. It includes human growth like physical, emotional, intellectual, social, perceptual. It is focused on changes in behavior and cognitive process. It describes characteristics of psychological. Next we have got the scope of psychology, under which there are two types: basic, theoretical and pure scope. Next is applied scope. Now under the basic and pure scope, it is concerned with theoretical knowledge, principle, facts, research. It is a study of sensation, memory, learning, reasoning, prejudice. Now there are different areas of this psychology such as developmental psychology. It study process of growth and maturation. It includes physical, social, motor, emotional, language, problem solving ability and moral development. It studies quantitative and qualitative changes in physical, mental and emotional being. It studies human development and describes, explain, predict and modify the behavior. Next we have got abnormal psychology. It is the branch of psychology to study abnormal behavior. It studies neurotics, psychotics and abnormal behavior by intelligence, emotional instability, character defects, etc. Next we have got social psychology or sociocultural psychology. It studies psychology behavior occurring in a group. It understands on how human individual is influenced by other people. It finds out individual affecting behavior. Next we have got experimental psychology. It studies process, sensation, perception, learning, memory, thinking about the world. It is concerned with how behavior modify, retain modification, process information, how sensory system works. It allows people to experience of what is going on. Next we have got applied scope. It is concerned with application of principles and theories of psychology. So over here there are various areas of psychology such as consumer psychology, where it is concerned with understanding motivation of consumer, apply knowledge to influence buying behavior. It deals with what product should be supplied and how it should be launched. Next is clinical psychology. It is concerned with the prevention, diagnosis, treatment of psychological disorder. 30% of psychologists involved in clinical psychology. It helps in problem solving of mental disorder, criminal behavior, drug addiction, mental retard, and other family problems. Next we have got counseling psychology. An individual is involved in problem solving. It is counseling in emotional, educational, vocation, career, and other personal problems. It helps individual, group, teenager, unemployed, and other refugees as well. Next, we have got organizational, industrial, and personal psychology. It studies structure and function of organization. So it provides advantage in selection, hiring, placing, and training. It helps in boosting morale among the employees. It enables to increase the productivity among the employees, and it establishes good relation among the workers. Next we have what health psychology. It is concerned with the physical health principle to prevent and treat physical disorder. It provides awareness and understanding to healthy attitude of population. It highlights physical health, sanitation, and mental health problem. It is focused on different techniques to reduce health hazards. So next we have got application or importance of psychology. So psychology helps in different field and aspects like getting motivated, improve leadership skill, become better communicator, better understanding of others' emotional aspects, improves memory, and become more productive. Next we have got methods of psychology. So under the method of psychology there is case study. So it is descriptive method in which in-depth analysis is made of single unit. It is also known as case history or clinical method. Complete information is gathered and research method is used. The investigator used test, checklist, and questionnaires. Comprehensive and useful methods. It requires a specialized skill for collecting information. So there are certain advantages and disadvantages. Talking about the advantages, it is detailed and in-depth data recorded. It is suitable to study rare behavior. It is useful for diagnosis, therapy, practical problems. It ensures researcher to trace out details of past life. Next we have got disadvantages, as it is difficulty in legitimately establish cause and effect relation. It lacks generativity as a single unit studies. It consumes more time, effort, and money. It is not possible in big math. Next we have got survey. It is descriptive method in which participants asked series of questions to respond. Questions are based on attitude, value, habit, and character of an individual. It is mailed, telephone, or interviewed. This method studies political attitude, consumer preference, women liberalization, and healthcare. So there are following methods which has to be followed in order to conduct a survey. So first there is identification of problem, formulation of objective, identify the sample population, determining the sample size, constructing questionnaires, collection of data, interpretation of the data, and research report. There are certain advantages, like a respondent can be questioned fairly, flexible to permit observation, interview, or mail, versatile as information collected from characteristics, socioeconomic data, and attitude. There are certain disadvantages, as large-scale survey is expensive, gender, age, ethnicity may affect the data, structured questionnaires miss some of the information, meanwhile unstructured questionnaires are unstandardized. Next we have got about naturalistic observation. So it is also called objective, systematic, and observation method. Collection of the data by observing the events. Observation by participants and non-participants are there. There are certain steps to perform naturalistic observation. So there is raising the problem towards the unanswered question. There is observation of behavior, where an individual examine or prepare the perception. Noting down the behavior, it is the recording of the behavior of an individual. Then there is interpretation or analysis of behavior, where the cause and effect relationship are established. And then comes the generalization, which is interpretation of result. So there are some certain advantages, disadvantages. Advantages: it collects a richer information, it is high ecological validity, researchers do not have to interact, they simply watch and interpret the result. There are some disadvantages, like it lacks control over the condition of how the situation is currently going on. It is slow and expensive. Internal experience may interfere, such as there might be some biasness or prejudice. So next we have got experimental method. So over here researchers systematically alters one or more independent variable to determine the changes that influence some of the behavior. It takes place under artificially controlled environment. All the factors are constant and only one factor is varied according to the researcher to find out what is cause and effect relationship. There are some steps to be followed to conduct experimental method. So first is raising problems, formulation of hypothesis, distinguish between dependent and independent variable, controlling the environment, analysis of result, verification of hypothesis by experiment. So there are some advantages and limitations. So talking about the advantages, it helps to establish cause and effect relation. It allows replication, which means repetition of experiment, so that variability can be estimated. It is the repetition of all the treatment combination to be compared in experiment. There is good control over exogenous variable. There are some limitations, such as well-equipped laboratory tools and equipments are required. There is difficulty in attaining cooperation, attitude, ethical concern may be violated. So conclusion derived is limited to artificial situations. So next we have got correlational method. It is extent of relation between two or more variables. It is studied on the basis of correlational coefficient. There are some examples like growing old resulting as gaining weight, drop in interest rate causing stock price rise. So it ranges from -1 to +1. +1 means as one variable increases the other also increase. -1 means if one variable increases the other decreases. So there are some advantages and disadvantages. So talking about the advantages, it allows a study of hypotheses that cannot be examined directly. More data and more variables are collected directly. It helps in prediction and solves the problem of interpretation. Talking about the disadvantages, there are some disadvantages like interpretation of a result is difficult, cause and effect relationship cannot be established easily, causality is uncertain in this case, and meanwhile the variables might vary upon one's interest. So guys, coming towards the end of this presentation, I would like to request you all to like, subscribe and share and comment. So over here in the comment section you can drop your email address so I can send you the word file of this presentation. So guys, thank you very much for listening to this presentation. Thank you very much.